Hi everyone, Michael Ingledew from TDW. I'm the Managing Director and I hope you like our new studio that we've put together on one of the back walls here in our office. And what I wanted to talk about this week was kind of look at a subject which is something we've written about in the magazine this quarter, to give some kind of context on the subject. But I wanted to talk about the Internet of Things, and I have to admit that when I first heard the term Internet of Things, I just kind of sat back, sighed, crossed my arms and said, another buzzword, another phrase that we need to deal with, that is just something that's distracting and is being invented by a bunch of vendors. Then I kind of researched the subject a little bit because it kept coming up. So I thought, well, what I want to do is become informed. So I researched the subject a little bit, and the reality is the Internet of Things has been happening for many years, is happening around us all the time, and will continue to happen way into the future. And it will have a deep impact on how we produce data and how our users in the future are going to interact with that data, way beyond the specification kind of approach that we have today. Now, the image you can see on my little tablet here is kind of just an illustration that I wanted to show, but I'll flash up a larger image shortly. But those of you who know me, I'm a very keen amateur photographer, and I like to do lots of landscape and macro photography out in the Ulu. I live in a very nice part of the United Kingdom, and on a recent shoot I thought what I'm going to do is bring the camera out with me and talk about the Internet of Things, because I thought it would provide some great context to the subject and how I wanted to get the message across. The problem is that in the UK the weather is so unpredictable, and you are now having to deal with a cartoon because the weather's been that terrible that I'm actually doing it in the studio rather than going out where all my electrics will get soaking wet. So what is this image? Well, I'm going to disappear and I'm going to pop up the image and talk about it for a little bit. Okay, this is a scene where actually it's the South Downs National Park here in the United Kingdom, and I used to play here as a child. And when we used to come up here, me and my friends, we used to disappear into the woods, the wooded area, for days on end, and our parents would have no idea where we were. They'd kind of know, obviously, that we were playing in this area, but we'd be off in the stream, we'd be down in the woods building dens, all of those wonderful things. And whilst I was out, I kind of had a reminisce moment, but then I also thought, well, actually, I'm probably way more connected today than I was even when I came up here with a group of my friends. So if you think about some of the devices that are surrounding me when I'm on a photography shoot, all of my cameras have built-in connectivity. Even the one that you're watching this tutorial through is actually something that we can connect to the internet all through our devices. And the camera does connect directly to my mobile phone via an app. My smartwatch also connects directly to my mobile phone via an app, as does my tablet and my laptop and all of these great things that I have with me. Now, what's key and important about that is that connectivity is connecting all of my devices to the internet. Now, what that means is all of the manufacturers of all of the devices that I use, whether that be Nikon, Sony, Samsung, whatever it might be, are all aware of how I'm using their particular product. And their product is communicating back to them the kind of environment that I'm in, when and where I'm using it. And the internet is tracking all of this kind of information. My smartwatch, for example, will tell me when I've been inactive and I need to get up and move around. Or it will also tell me that an email's arrived, an SMS has arrived. And this is kind of the first stage of real interaction. And in the article in the magazine, we talk about the history of the internet, the history of information, and how that change has kind of crept up on us. But what about the role of tech data? Well, come back to me here and I'll get rid of the image. Now, as I mentioned, all of these devices that I go out with on a photo shoot are connected somehow to my mobile phone, and I can sync, they can be syncing in the background, they can be talking to each other, talking to websites, talking to servers, synchronizing with social media, synchronizing with other forums that I might be on, and it's tracking that kind of constantly in the background. Now, for purposes of illustrations, my car is something that obviously I take out with me when I go off into the wilderness to take photos, as much as we can go into the wilderness in the United Kingdom. My car is constantly connected either via my mobile phone or via other GPS services that are provided by Land Rover. And tracking devices know where my vehicle is at all times. Now, then I started thinking about this, is that already we're seeing some intelligence in our vehicles. Our vehicles already have built-in fault identification systems. So fault codes are presented to engineers, and engineers know exactly what they have to do. If I'm about to run out of fuel in my vehicle, it knows exactly how much I've got left in the tank, how far I can go, and automatically, without me having to do anything, it will populate my satellite navigation screen with the local garages. Now, so I started thinking about how the Internet of Things is going to change this functionality going forward. And I can imagine a scenario where in exactly the same situation where my vehicle is running out of fuel, the garage will pop up with fuel prices, and it will tell me the cheapest garage I can get to in a certain time, the opening times, how much fuel they've got left. So if 2 more vehicles go in and fill up, by the time I get there, will they be run out? This is how the Internet of Things is going to change the way that we interact with information in the future. And so then I started scenario building in my head, and I was thinking, well, in my old engineering days, we used to have to take oil samples from aero engines, and we'd send them off to a laboratory for them to be analysed, and that analysis would tell us whether there would be some kind of gearbox failure, some bearing failure, or whether there was some kind of other fault that was starting to show itself in the engine, so we could change the engine quickly without writing the engine off and causing hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage. So I started thinking about, well, we already have fault diagnosis within our engines, and certainly the more complex machinery has fault diagnosis. And then I was thinking, well, imagine if that kind of dynamic fault diagnosis could tell the internet that a fault was about to happen on my vehicle. Obviously informed me, but dynamically it, through some complex algorithms, made sure that the local garage had the correct spares, the engineer had the right information, and automatically knew what my schedule was like, and booked the vehicle in directly to Land Rover, or indeed arrange collection, or whatever it might be. So those kind of things are going to happen instantaneously and dynamically. And like I say, already we're seeing a lot of this kind of interaction with the internet through our mobile phones. And from here, when I'm got my world in my pocket, as I call it, is that obviously you can do the mundane and boring stuff like emails, SMS, Facebook, Twitter, those kind of things. And by the way, we did an article on SMS and how our children are now already moving away from SMS. That's an interesting article. But so just to prove how things move on and move on very quickly. But I started thinking about the kind of things I can do today with my mobile phone. And whilst I'm out of the office, I can track my home central heating, hot water systems, security systems, and I can access the office CCTV system from where I am. If the CCTV identifies movement that it's not expecting at a certain time of the day, it will call me, it will SMS me, it will send me an image. I can then directly and dynamically say, call the police, and instantaneously the police can be notified, and hopefully they would send somebody out to the office. So this connectivity is the Internet of Things, and it will change the way that we produce supporting technical data for our products going forward. And some of the leading aircraft manufacturers are already looking at these connectivities and what we can do to speed up maintenance processes. We can have quicker aircraft and fleet turnaround times. How is that going to affect how we do things in the future? Now, in the article in the magazine, we do talk about our security concerns that we have today. So we hear stories of vehicles being hacked. We hear about websites being hacked. We hear about people's phones being taken over. We hear about all of these things. Now, in the article, we say that security is an issue, but in the future, security is going to become so tight and so nailed down that breaches are going to be so rare. And you know, the society as a whole will be so dependent on the internet that breaches will be something that they will be able to close and kill the loop on. I have absolutely no doubt. So this connectivity, if you hear the term the Internet of Things, it's just about how our phones, our devices, how we, refrigerators, our eating habits, our movement habits, all of those kind of things are being communicated back to this black hole they call the internet. And that information is being gathered and collected about us. And a great example is that, you know, recently we went to buy a new lens for one of our cameras, and that lens was out of stock on a very famous website that you can do online ordering, and they'll be with you the next day. Now for us, unfortunately, we then got distracted and moved on to something else. So we'd lost the interest in that particular lens. We'd already moved on to the next business problem. The great thing is that when we went to the internet to look at some software, we went to buy some recording software, just so happened the internet reminded us that, hey, by the way, you were looking at this lens 2 days ago. And we went back, it was in stock, and we ordered it. So that's the kind of thing that the internet is already doing today. And if you haven't seen it yet, go on to an online store and type in a search for something really obscure. Type in something that, you know, tent pegs or something along those lines. Go away from the computer, clear your mind of all those searches, come back, and I guarantee you that any website that you visit will have tent pegs and camping equipment, and all those kind of things will appear on those web pages. So the internet's already doing it. So that's the Internet of Things, and it will change the way that we are working with tech data. I have no doubt, whether that's 2 years, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, I can't say, but it will go way beyond the ability that we have today with producing specifications and graphics and 3D and all those kind of things. That information will still be needed. It's just how it's delivered to our users and our customers and our support teams. So a couple of notices from me. Obviously, we've written an article about this in the latest magazine, and the latest magazine has been shipped, so you should have yours already. If not, you can now create a free account on Tech Data World if you follow the link, and you can scoot on over to Tech Data World. There's some free resources there that you can take a look at. Members, we have now migrated all of the training tutorials, etc., to the same portal, so it's one account and you can access absolutely everything. Create the free account. You can have a look at some webinars, pre-recorded webinars and those kind of things that we've done. Absolutely no obligation to buy anything. Just create yourselves a free account over there. Magazine, like I say, has already been shipped, and the TDIQ platform is migrating over to this new portal that we've created on Tech Data World. So we have one centralized, manageable portal that we can use. Again, I'm Michael Ingledew. I'm the Managing Director of Tech Data World. Do keep those comments coming in. They are absolutely phenomenal. We love what we're doing here, and we love the very positive feedback that we're getting from you guys, the Tech Data community. I hope that you found this interesting. I hope it cleared up a little bit about what the Internet of Things is. If not, buy the magazine. We've done a great little article in there on the Internet of Things, and we've put some great kind of images together to support the article as well. But please do keep those comments coming in, and I hope you found it very useful.